Hello, everybody. My name's James, and welcome to the first Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents of the 2022-23 season. And we're starting with a big one. Let me first introduce you to our Chelsea correspondent, Gary Mantle. How are you, Gary?
Hello, mate. Yeah, quite good, actually. Thank you. How are you?
Yes, very well. Thank you, mate. And let me introduce you to our Tottenham Hotspur correspondent, Phil Mitchell. No, not Phil Mitchell. Ricky Saunders. How are you, Ricky? Someone said we look like the Mitchell brothers, and I said, well, I'm taking Grant then. You can be Phil.
I'll take Phil all day long. Thank you, Grant.
Gary, we spoke to you a couple of weeks ago. Probably wasn't best timing for you correspondent week. It was off the back of obviously the 4-0 defeat to Arsenal in pre-season. Are we feeling a bit better now?
A little bit better. I would say that some of the issues that we highlighted at the time are being sorted out or have been sorted out, and some of them are still to be sorted out. But it's progressed in the right direction.
Let's go with negatives first then. What still needs sorting?
Oh, we still need at least another defender, I'd say. It looks like Fofana's the main one that we're going to go for. I still think we need another attacker, and Saturday did not change my mind on that at all.
You think Fofana will happen? We should say at this point, we are pre-recording this well in advance of release. We're recording this on Monday. Fofana's going to cost a lot, isn't he?
We've got a lot of money.
Okay, yeah. Abramovich has gone, same shit. Yeah, all right.
We got sold for £3.5 billion. What did people think was going to happen? Like that was all his money that he spent? No. Like Fofana's young. It would be a long contract, everything like that. The amortization, etc., means that the fee's never quite what it seems, if you get what I mean.
I know, yeah. If it's 75 mil with about 15 million a year or something like that, I know.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's the main one that Tuchel wants, from what I've heard, and I can see why.
Okay, up front, he didn't look right at the weekend.
No, and I don't know why Tuchel didn't change it, because that isn't the way we lined up against Udinese when it did look better. And I don't know why we suddenly decided to play the right foot on the right and the left foot on the left when we've never played like that. And most teams don't play like that these days, especially when your width comes from the wing backs. So, well, Reece is the right foot on the right, so usually you'd put a left footer inside him, but I don't know why we didn't.
So I take it when you played in Italy, it was Mount left, Havertz right, Sterling in the middle. So have you got any reasoning to think why? Because I can't think I've seen Havertz play on the left of a free for you since he joined. I'm sure he probably has, but I can't remember seeing it.
No, I don't think he has. I can't remember seeing it because everybody else that we've got or have had, like Werner, like Pulisic, like Mount, all play on the left. So he's always played on the right. The only thing that I could think was that pretty much all of our attacks came down the right. So we were looking for Reece to put the balls into the box, and we wanted Havertz to be in the box on the end of them. So we played him on the left. Didn't work, obviously, but I think that was the plan.
So what's improved since that Arsenal game? You said there's some positives. What are they?
So one of the main people that we talked about was Aspilicueta. He signed a new contract. It does look like he's committing to stay at the club. As you guys know, you went through this at the start of last season, like with Harry Kane. Just because a player like feels a certain way in pre-season, as long as he comes back and then starts putting the effort in, you can move on from that pretty quickly. It's fine. As long as his attitude is correct now, it doesn't matter what happened before. He's admitted that he wanted to go to Barcelona. We all know that he wanted to go to Barcelona. He hasn't gone. He's like, all right, fine. I'm captain of Chelsea. I'm going to, show what I need to show as more as like a leader than an actual player is what we need him for at the moment. Because I don't think he's in our best 11, but still he's like the sort of player's leader. The other thing that was good was when they released our squad numbers, there was a few players that didn't get squad numbers.
A number of them. Oh, it was 4 or 5, wasn't it?
And a lot of them were the ones that we were talking about, saying these players aren't good enough to be in the squad. Ross Barkley, Michy Batshuayi, so they haven't got squad numbers.
Billy Gilmore seems like a harsh one.
Yeah, and now we've signed Carney Chukwuemeka, and apparently he's going to play. Well, he's not necessarily going to play, but he's going to be in our squad. Apparently,
he's an unbelievable talent. He's certainly the best English player at his age group.
Yeah. So, and if Tuchel's looked at it and gone, I don't fancy Billy, but I do fancy this guy, well, that's positive as well. Like that we're going to be using the players that Tuchel wants to use, and it looks like Werner's going as well, which is positive. Because when he's in the squad, the temptation is always to use him, but we know he's not good enough.
The players in the squad, the temptation's always to use him. I know that's probably been a problem for Ricky and our team as well, I should imagine. Did you watch Arsenal Friday night, Gary?
I didn't actually know. I was at work.
Okay, we'll skip that then. Did you watch Arsenal Friday night, Ricky?
No.
Okay, I did. That's not going to go well. A general conversation, and I mention it then because I think, look, the two sides here obviously finished third and fourth last year. Do we see them as the one serious threat to breaking into the top four?
I do, yeah. The third, fourth, and fifth is going to be, in no particular order, Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal. I don't think there's much doubt about that, really, especially after seeing United yesterday. They're not really in the running at the moment.
Is that how you see it, Gary?
Yeah, I was one of those that stupidly thought, well, Man United have got a better squad than people realise, but it doesn't look like they actually have. Because I was thinking 2 years ago they came second and overperformed. Last season they came sixth and underperformed. So really they should be somewhere in the middle and come fourth. But actually it looks like last season was pretty accurate.
It's one game though, isn't it? We shouldn't completely write them off at this stage. Might have a new manager next month. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't think with United though, what has become apparent over a succession of managers, it's not the squad, it's the mentalities of the squad.
100%.
The players, absolutely, on paper, they should be, in theory, third, if not challenging for the title. But there's something with the mentality there that it's broken. That club is broken.
Well, that's what it looked like was happening with Chelsea, based on what we'd seen in pre-season, where we weren't up to speed. Captain wanted to leave, half the squad wanted to leave, half of them couldn't be bothered. Marcos Alonso's another one. He's gone. He's as good as gone. He didn't want to be there. He wanted to go. He's gone. And these are all, as I say, these are positives. And it's the opposite of what Man United are doing, where they're just keeping all of these players around, and you see the effect that it has.
Did you watch Manchester City on Sunday, Gary?
I was at work for that as well.
Do you guys watch any football? Ricky, did you watch Manchester City on Sunday?
Yeah, I watched that one. Yeah.
All right. Did you think either us or Chelsea can catch them? You're saying no already, obviously.
Yeah, it's no. Look, I said on the correspondent pod, I'd be happy if we could just close the gap. Get within maybe 10 or 15 points. We're not going to overhaul a gap like that in the space of one season. They're a super side. We're really unfortunate that we play in the league that's got the best two teams in the world in it, and at the minute we're not at that level.
Is that how you feel, Gary? Best two teams in the world in our league?
I'd say so, but you never know how a league season's going to go. You never know who's going to get like that key injury or something like that. And we also know that if it comes to sort of February, March, and Man City have to make a choice of the Champions League or the Premier League, they're going to choose the Champions League.
It might be 20 points clear by then, mate.
In which case they don't have to make the choice, but they might be in a situation where they do have to make the choice. They might be 5-10 points behind.
I think you raise a very valid point. We all saw what happened to Liverpool a few years ago with the injuries, and obviously it was so extreme what happened to them with the centre backs. But yeah, that obviously can have a destabilising effect. And they've obviously seems like they've got growing concerns in the midfield, although Klopp's downplaying it somewhat. But Gary, you've obviously been close to them. You drew 4 times with Liverpool last year. Can you get near them?
Yeah, I still think we're missing that one thing, which is just the goals. And probably in reality is the coherence up front. Like watching us against Everton at the weekend, it was exactly the same as last season. These were the problems that we talked about in Correspondents Week. And one of the things I said was, are we going to score more goals this season than last season? And I wasn't sure that we are. And currently, I'm not sure that we are.
So first impression on Sterling?
I liked what he did. I thought he played well. I thought he played well enough. I don't think he was the problem at all. I thought as I say, the use of Mount on the right and Havertz on the left, I think didn't help either of them, and I don't think it really helped Sterling either. But I liked the way he played. I liked you have to remember, I was watching Lukaku stood up front doing as little as he could possibly do last season. So even just watching
Did you get used because he was in the squad and you felt like you had to? Is that the same thing?
That seemed to happen. Yeah, exactly. This is it, exactly. Because you think, oh, actually, he's still an option. Yeah, but he's a terrible option. But Sterling, I thought, played quite well, like relatively.
Do you think he'll stay in that central role? Is that the plan, do you think?
I think it probably is, yeah, from what I've seen. I think there'll hopefully be a bit more fluidity to it, but from what I've seen in pre-season, even then the fluidity is more from who's the furthest forward at any time. So Sterling will come back into midfield and he will pick the ball up and he will turn and run, and which for us again is like quite exciting because we haven't had that for a while. Obviously the best one for it was Eden Hazard. We had Pulisic doing it for about 6 months before his injury, and then we haven't had it for 2 years. So now having Sterling doing that, it's like, oh yeah, I remember how this feels, where someone attacks with a bit of pace. Just need everybody else to attack with the same pace.
Ricky, have Tottenham got the best front three in the league?
You'd argue, you'd find it hard to argue against it. It's not even the quality of the players; it's how they link up with each other. They are dynamite, absolute dynamite. I could watch them all day, every day. So yeah, I think they have. I really do.
How do you see that, Gary? As in front threes, difficult to compare with City because we're never quite sure what the three is. But how would you compare it to say your own and say Liverpool's three, for example?
Well, I suppose probably a good way of putting it. I don't like having to say this. If you put your front three in our team, that would win the league. That would be a serious challenge to Manchester City and Liverpool if we had Kane, Son, and Kulusevski up front. And it's not like our front three is that bad, but there's just goals in that Tottenham team.
That's interesting, that, because this goes back to conversations I had with Ted a year ago about unless someone will score the goals, can't see you winning the league. And you'd have the confidence to say that taking Tottenham's front three rather than say City or Liverpool's would be enough for you to potentially finish top of the league.
I mean, it would be hilarious to see how we'd manage to make Kane turn into the kind of
don't give him the 9 shirt.
That's it, exactly. But if we had that sort of setup that could play that quickly, that well in tandem with each other, then that would be a serious challenge to Liverpool and City, and I think that's what's holding us back.
I think to put it into perspective, if you were to say that out of those 3 players, Kulusevski is the worst, that just makes you realise how good they are, because he is phenomenal.
Any questions on him, Ricky? Once obviously Richarlison's available now going into this weekend, there's not even a question here, is there?
No, not whatsoever. I mean, a few people were debating, could he carry it over into a second season? It's based on 1 game, but he was dynamite against Southampton. He run everything. He was chasing every ball. Obviously, the cross for Dyer's goal was out of this world.
What, from Sonny? You mean for Sessegnon?
For Sessegnon, sorry, for Sessegnon. That was a brilliant cross. He took his goal really well. It was just everywhere. There's been no let up from last season at all. He's better, if anything.
You believe how good he is? I mean,
no,
I've had some mad comparisons after. I mean, he was clearly man of the match on Saturday.
Yeah.
It is worth saying, as I said on the main pod, Southampton had big issues on that side, which helped.
We're going to have much tougher games than that this season, obviously.
I was hearing some comparisons with players, really big name players you wouldn't have thought he'd. I mean, Tottenham fans were writing him off after half hour of his debut about he's too slow. And
I mean, let's give him a little. I'm not going to get carried away and saying he's as good as these other players. I'm surprised how good he is. I'll be honest, when he came to Tottenham, I didn't really know a lot about him. I think we all possibly read the comments from Juventus fans, and they were slagging him off and, thank you Tottenham for the money because he's rubbish. Well, either the Italian league didn't suit him or the manager couldn't get something out of him. I don't know what it was, but he's a lot better than I thought he was going to be. And he's a hell of a lot better than his price tag suggests he should be as well. And he's still really young. He's got his best years by far ahead of him yet.
So it's interesting this. So we're saying Tottenham potentially have arguably got one of, if not the best, front three in the league. But you don't think Tottenham can win the league. And equally, if I said to you, Ricky, Antonio Conte is not manager, where do you think Tottenham finished without him?
Without him, 7th, 8th.
It can't be that bad, surely.
It's still a good. No, we're still a really good team. We've got really good players, but he has done something to that squad, to those players as individuals and as a collective, that it's just it's unbelievable. I don't know how he's done it or what he's done, but he's taken a team that was really underperforming and had underperformed. I mean, let's remember that even when we got to the Champions League final, from January onwards, our league form was awful, and we haven't really performed well since then. You know, we had a terrible season under Poch and then Mourinho, a terrible season under Mourinho, and then obviously Nuno didn't start amazing. What he's taken that core of players, it's phenomenal. And yeah, I've written us off. This is possibly more of the Tottenham in me saying we can't win the league, because you know what hope does to you, James, and we've had a lot of it over the years, and it's hope murders you.
Yeah, I find realism is a better perspective to have generally. Yeah.
And also, as well, I used to, you know, when we were young, we used to give it the bigger, you know, oh, my dad's bigger than yours, my team's better than yours. And you get slapped down so many times as a Tottenham fan. I now just like to sit in a corner and just observe. And so I don't want to stick my neck out and say, yeah, we're going to win this, we're going to do that, because I don't want to get slapped down in 10 months' time.
Fair. How would you feel on Monday, though, if we've won at Chelsea?
This is our test. This is our real bit. It's a team that are obviously exceptional, a team that we never beat or very rarely beat, never win at Stamford Bridge. If we can get 3 points there, then okay, yeah, game on. I will be a lot more optimistic.
Gary, you obviously had Antonio Conte.
Mm-hmm.
How highly do you regard him? You've obviously had some incredible managers.
Yeah, not as highly as I should.
Because? Is that because the fallout at the end, or?
Because in my 32 years of going to Chelsea, only one manager's managed to lose at home to Tottenham. But
That's a brilliant stat.
And this is why I keep quiet in a corner, because I just get slapped.
So the only guy that's managed to lose at home to Tottenham in over 30 years is the current Tottenham manager. That's a brilliant stat. Love that. Yeah. I didn't even trick that. It's good.
No.
There you go. So yeah, and the way the fallout, like when he went, he had to go. Like it came 2 years after Mourinho had done exactly the same thing. We're like, right, we can't do this again. My hope is that happens again with him at Tottenham. I mean, it's not looking like it will at the moment, but he wasn't very good at keeping the whole squad happy. You remember when we won the title, we weren't in Europe. We'd come 10th the season before.
That
so
helps,
we just played at the weekend. So we just picked the same 11 every single week. Nobody got tired, and everyone that was in that team was happy. Then there was a bit of stuff with the board, and like, which I've read about since, and that was worse than I'd realised at the time. He did. It was a bit strange. He signed a new contract that didn't lengthen his contract. It was just more money because he'd won the title, and they wouldn't give him any longer. And he was like, "Well, why not?" kind of thing. Well, because he was gone within a year, and I think they knew that was already going to happen, which is strange because he just won the title. But yeah, anyway, you guys have signed like quite a few players, and I'm like, can it manage to disrupt the squad in general if they're not in the team and like keeping everybody happy? I don't know. I hope
certainly
so.
Can do. I mean, Gary raises a very fair point, Ricky, and obviously Conte's Champions League record historically is not magnificent.
No,
and his teams do tend to come into problems. It's very fair to say that he won the league, and obviously deserved to do so. But it was the free run that season, if you will, with no European competitions. Did take from 10th to 1st, mind. Is that a concern for you, Ricky, when it starts up in a few weeks? That he might get stuck with the same 11 trying to play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, for example.
Yeah, we touched on this during the last pod, and it's a massive concern. He hasn't got a very good record, and the physical demands put on the players, they can't do that twice a week for 10 months. It's not possible. So I think this is why we've brought in as many players as we have. He kind of wants two different teams. And if we were in the Europa League, the old Thursday night club along with Woolwich, I wouldn't see it as much of a problem, because we potentially have 6 games at the start of the season in the group stages where we can throw on a few kids.
Go A team, B team, don't you? Basically.
Yeah, we're not going to have that luxury in the Champions League. So it's got to be very much a balancing game for him. But a lot of that, especially certainly in midfield, we've got players that can come in that aren't really any downgrade from the players that we've got in there already. Based on the weekend, Sessegnon is not a massive downgrade on Perisic. I mean, I know he's not going to play like that every single week. The main concern would be if we pick up an injury to one of the front three, then obviously we've got Richarlison, but then after that we're thin. So I think we will sign another attacking player, but at the moment the squad for quality is still a little bit thin for a full-on rotation, the likes that City can do, and Chelsea as well, to be fair.
Do you think we could be in a position this season? I'm looking at, say, Fulham in game week 6 at home, which will fall straight after games on Sunday, Wednesday, and then Fulham Saturday. We don't know yet, but Tottenham could play on the Tuesday in the Champions League, and it's Man City away on the Saturday, the weekend after. Do you look at fixtures like that now, like Fulham at home in game week 6, and think he might leave Son out, he might leave Kane out?
Absolutely. It depends on I mean, maybe not so much the Fulham game, but moving forward depends on what Champions League group we've got and what, where we're placed in the Champions League itself. But yeah, we've never really had this issue as a Tottenham fan. The best players play every week unless they're injured, but that's now a very real possibility. We're trying to mix it with the elite, and so we're going to have to play the same game they play, which is squad rotation. Some days, some games, Kane is going to get left out, Sonny is going to get left out, and as long as we've got able backups, which as long as we haven't got too many injuries, we have got, we'll be all right. But I've certainly or had 3 Tottenham until Saturday, until last night. Sorry, but yeah, if you're going to go 3 Tottenham, you're going to have to realise that you're not going to start every single game. You're going to be, it's going to be weeks. Basically, it's going to be like Man City to a lesser degree, but yeah, the rotation's going to kick in a lot.
It's obviously been that way at your team as well, Gary, and you'll be used to it for probably 15 years or so now. Do you get the feeling that's changing a bit? Are we looking at a more settled Chelsea team this year, do you think?
Well, I think even for in our best years, we always had a settled core, and then recently we've lost that. So that would be the ideal. There's a certain few, like probably like 5 or 6, who's like, right, I want to play you every single week, and everybody else you can rotate around depending on who we're playing against, and then we'll rest people where possible. I think at the moment, I think we've probably got a relatively settled 11. I still think we're missing a little bit in the backups, but I think we're probably going to make a couple more signings for August finishes, and then the rotation is really going to start.
What are you expecting to come in positionally? I'm not saying necessarily names. What are you expecting position-wise?
A defender and a forward. I think by the sounds of things, Werner's going, Hudson-Odoi is going, Batshuayi and Barkley aren't in the squad. So now we've got Havertz and Breuer, Mount and Ziyech, who apparently also wants to go, and then Pulisic and Sterling. Which sounds like a lot, but I don't think it is. I think there's still
no, because you think there's a big drop off from the first choice 3 to the others.
Yeah,
no, that's fair. I think that's why I ask is, do you think something a bit more settled? Because I get that feeling that there is becoming a clearer these 8 or 9 at Chelsea's first choice, subject to games and who the opponent is.
Certainly at the moment, but I don't know that will remain the case in 3 weeks' time. That's the uncertainty with Chelsea.
Are you expecting any more business from Tottenham, Ricky?
Yeah, I think pretty much the same. A defender and an attacking player. I won't say forward, I'll say attacking player, because it'll be someone that can play across the front 3.
Subject to obviously if Barcelona want them, right?
Yeah.
We don't need that bidding war, do we, guys? We'll get an outbid. Do you reckon we'll just get all their players on a free transfer? all the ones they can't register. Maybe we'll be fighting out for Lewandowski in a couple of weeks because they can't register. No, I don't think so. Gary, I alluded to it on Monday's pod, the idea of Reece James playing centre-back, specifically against Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thinking here, and do you think it will happen?
So yeah, I think he's going to play at centre-back. I think we'll have to stick with a back 3. So I looked at the January games. So we played these 3 times, obviously, and we generally played a back 4. But he switched Rudiger over to the right-hand side of the 2 centre-backs because he wanted that pace up against Son. So you could think, well, okay, he might switch Koulibaly over there. But from what I saw on Saturday, I did watch our game, by the way. I do watch some football. He had to go off after 75 minutes, and he was knackered. And you could tell, it's not as if he can't keep up with the pace. He can't sustain the pace for 90 minutes. And that was against Everton with Anthony Gordon up front. And now we're playing against Tottenham with Kane and Son and Kulusevski up front. So if it was me, I wouldn't trust Koulibaly to do 90 at the right centre-back position against Son. if he can't do 90 against Anthony Gordon. So the only other options that have got pace is Chalobah, who I don't think he trusts enough to do it, and Reece James. So I think it's going to have to be Reece James.
What would you do? Just swap James and Azpilicueta? We have seen that before.
Yeah, exactly. He's done it plenty of times. It's not the best for us attacking, but I think we're probably going to be quite cautious in this game.
Are there not games coming up in future weeks where this is also potentially a problem? I'm thinking of sort of Jamie Vardy in game week 4, for example, as well, does have a tendency to lean towards the left-hand channel.
So is this something we ever did that was against Leicester? The first time we ever played at Reece at right centre back was against Leicester because of Jamie Vardy.
Because all the FPL listeners be going, "What are you doing to me here, Gary?" They don't want to see him at centre back, right?
And of course, no. They don't, and most Chelsea fans don't want to see him at centre back. But I'd rather he played at centre back and we defended properly against Tottenham rather than we tried Azpilicueta and Thiago Silva. Because as good as they both are, it's obvious what they're lacking there.
You've been linked with wing backs, including Denzel Dumfries. If he was to be signed, is he backup, or are you looking at Reece James therefore permanently going to right-sided centre back? I mean, if he was the only signing, is that what we're looking at? Reece James permanently playing there for till January, for example.
Yeah, with the rotation, but I think that would become Reece's main position. So you'd have Reece and Dumfries would be the main two. If one of them's like to get rested, it's probably going to be Dumfries. Although there is a quote that Reece is apparently struggling with injury again. So we could then switch it around in any way, because we've got centre backs that can play all along the back, and Azpilicueta could do the wing back or the centre back thing. So I think it would be enough to think is at least 50% that Reece would be playing right centre back.
Do you think it could be a back four? Is that the alternative here?
I think he'd want to play a back four, to be honest, against Tottenham, just because he did it every time last season. But I don't think you can put Reece in a centre back partnership with Thiago Silva, because he's nowhere near experienced enough to play as just one of two centre backs. And as I said, I don't think Koulibaly is quite up to the fitness to do that for 90 minutes, because that might have been his ideal. But if it was me, based on what I saw on Saturday, that's not what I'd do.
So obviously we played each other 3 times in January. You won 2-0, 2-0 and 1-0. In the first game, the League Cup semi, you changed to a 4-2-2-2 and absolutely destroyed us, to be honest. Couldn't deal with it, to the extent that when we played you in the league again at Stamford Bridge later, Chelsea had still stuck with the back four, seeing that they could exploit Tottenham with it. And Conte went in with a flat 4-4-2 and played Doherty like right wing, didn't he? I mean, in the second leg of the semi-final, played Doherty left wing, I think, in a flat 4-4-2. Didn't change the result. He was still completely dominant. I mean, it's fair to say that the sides are a little bit more close together now, but that psychologically does make me wonder if Chelsea might go back for at the weekend.
Yeah, and as I said, I think that is what he would like to play, but I don't think the personnel is there and ready to do it, because you'd also think, well, who's likely to play left back at the moment? Right now, I think Cucurella is probably more likely to start than Chilwell. Chilwell had to go off again. He wasn't supposed to play on Saturday, by the sounds of things. I'm not quite sure he was ready. We don't know how he's recovered from that, and we're not going to know. There's no way of telling. So if you're then going to say we're going to put Cucurella, Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, and then Reece as a back four, I don't think it's enough sort of experience within how Chelsea play in a particular system to cope with a team like Tottenham.
Ricky, any chance Tottenham go back 4 on Sunday?
No, I don't think so. It would go against everything that we've done and been working towards as a team. I think that Chelsea one, I think it was just from memory. Did we lose the first game 2 or 3-0? The first leg, 2-0. Yeah. It was almost like, and I remember seeing the team, and it was the first time that I'd ever thought that he'd given up on a game before it even started. And I think that was more of an experimental formation, because he kind of knew that we were chasing shadows for that game. And that's the impression that I got anyway. It was just seeing what worked, what didn't work, treating it almost as like a friendly.
Yeah, the timing was obviously during January transfer window. There were potentially a few toys coming out the pram. But I think the first time when they played the 4-2-2-2, it really, really bothered us. Played with like 2 10s behind 2 forwards, and the spaces you were picking up just killing us basically. But quality of players is what's difference now. I think back to the team that started the first leg at Chelsea in the League Cup. I want to say the back three was Davis, Tanganga, and Sanchez. With Doherty, I think, at left wing back. So it's a little bit different now in terms of the availability of players. You've got Bentancur now, Kulusevski now, obviously.
And the back three has got much more protection as well from the two in the middle of the park. We've had for long sways of last season, they were just being left exposed, which they're not now.
Is there also, Ricky, a little bit of we're better now, deal with us, rather than us having to deal with them as such?
Yeah, I mean, look,
you just go in with a stronger mentality.
Yeah, I mean, look, Chelsea's still one of the elite teams. It's you're not going to go in and bully Chelsea. Certainly not with the record that we've got there. But yeah, I mean, Conte has instilled a kind of mentality. They've got to worry about us as much as we've got to worry about them. We are a good side, and they won't go in there fearful at all. They will know that as much as we've got to contain Chelsea, they've got to contain us, and we can do things that they've got to try and stop. So we're not going to go there and sit back and try and catch them. We're going to go there and play football. And the whole buzz around the club and around the fans as well is changing, and it's changing for the better. And yeah, we're going to go there with a much stronger mentality than we have done in decades, if I'm being honest.
Is that despite the fact that we normally go there and we shit the bed? It's normally something nil before we've started, isn't it?
In our minds, yeah. But I think we've got a different mentality now. This team is never beaten. You can we can go behind. We can be 2-0 down. We can be 2-1 down with in the 95th minute, and we still think that we can win a game of football. We're not going to win every game this season. We know this, but at no point is a team going to outfight us or outwork us. It's a different team now to anything that we've seen for a very long time.
Gary, how do you feel about it? Because I'm sure thinking back to those games in January, you probably think turn up, this would be easy, as it was in all 3 encounters. Do you feel different looking ahead towards this weekend, or is there something psychological from Chelsea fans that we always beat them?
There is, and I think it works both ways, because I think there's something psychological from Tottenham fans, and if I'm honest, Tottenham players, where they think they always come to Stamford Bridge and they're going to lose. I think once thing is like this mentality is, if things start going against you, like, oh God, here we go again. Like, so last season, if you remember, I think it was the league game that Harry Kane had the goal disallowed. Like the ref.
Oh yeah, it was at 0-0 at the time in the first half.
So it's 0-0, and the ref gave it. That's why, that
was correct decision.
I'm always like, exactly right. So. But once that happens, it's like, oh, that was our chance. Oh, that's like, now we're just.
I mean, to be fair, Ziyech put you in front that day with an absolute weldy, to be fair. So.
I know, completely. But something that you did just mention then was about being behind in injury time and still thinking you're going to win. Well, that was the game before you played Chelsea. So you should have been on the crest of a wave. You'd just come back against Leicester. And this wasn't like one of those, you smashed and grabbed it at the end. You battered Leicester. Like, you deserved to win the game. You deserved to win the game a lot more comfortably than you did. And you're like, I'm going into it going, oh God. Because we hadn't had the best January. If we hadn't played you in January, we wouldn't have beaten a top flight team. So I
think you played about 8 games in January, only beat us and Chesterfield or something.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah.
And the slaps keep coming.
Plymouth took them to extra time, I think. Gary will correct me, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty sure it was them. I can't remember. I think Lukaku played in those games as well.
Oh, that'll be why.
Yeah, exactly. So you think you have been in that? The last time you came to the Bridge in January was a similar mentality to what you just said. That you were on the up, and we were tired by then. We were looking kind of like we're going to the World Club Cup like a couple of weeks later on, sort of just trying to get through without picking up any more injuries and stuff like that. So. There is always a little bit of a fear, but then I think, is it that different? Is it that different to other seasons? Because your best team came to us when you were still in the title hunt against Leicester, and we gave you a 2-0 head start, and you weren't allowed to have any players sent off, and you still didn't beat us.
I don't even know what to say to that, Ricky, other than agree.
Yeah, we'll leave that one. We move on to something else.
We should have had about 5 sent off that night. Still, we left a legacy on it, right? We don't normally do that. We left a legacy on the game. Conte made a really interesting comment quite late in the season about really wanting to play Chelsea again, Ricky.
Yeah.
I think he was quite burnt by them 3 games, actually.
No,
I wonder if he might be a bit too hyped for this with his history with the club previously as well.
It's possible. I mean, he might be trying too hard. I mean, look, and this hurts me to say this, but we played Chelsea last season and we were never in any of those games. We were thoroughly beaten in every single game that we played.
We played okay in the first half of the league game, but then should have got about 5 or 6 in the second half. So agree.
Yeah. So there was never really a contest from that point of view. Yeah, look, it's possible. He may feel he was harshly treated at Chelsea, and obviously left under a cloud. Is it possible to get too hyped? Yeah, maybe. It could lead to him making some mistakes if things do that go against us, possibly. But I do think that this is the game that he really wants to win, and it's probably quite good for us that it's come so early in the season.
We get the nil poir out of the way quickly, man.
You could look at it
just
that way.
Accept it and move on. Yeah. Mate, you blatantly know that if we lose on Sunday, we go, well, at least we ain't got to play there again in the league this season. There's that one out the way.
Absolutely, yeah. We could look forward to playing City away instead.
That there is that element I think makes it a little bit of it obviously is a lose if you lose, but there is I think we will pick that up as a positive Monday if Chelsea have won comfortably again on Sunday. I ain't got to go there again. What Chelsea FPL assets have you got at the moment, Ricky?
I don't think I've got any, actually. Let me just...
No Reece James?
No.
No Edward Mendy?
No, I swapped him out last minute for Ramsdale. No, I've got no Chelsea at all.
That's a nailed-on Chelsea clean sheet this weekend, then. Gary, what you got?
Chelsea, I've got Mendy and Mount.
Not Reece James?
Not Reece James. For the reasons that I've said, I don't know for sure that he's going to continue playing wing-back. I can see a few games where I think he's going to be used as a centre-back. And I just think there's better options in the game that cost less that play at wing back.
There will be people obviously sitting there with the likes of Trent, Robertson, blank at the weekend, clean sheet for Chelsea, home game next, decent fixtures, thinking it's an easy place to find $1 million or 1.5. What would you say?
If I knew that Reece was going to play wing back, then I think I would have picked Reece James. You watch some of the positions that he takes up, particularly last season. One of the like Newcastle away when he scored twice, and both of his goals were absolute rockets. You're like, how can you not? You have to consider a player like that, obviously. But you put him at right centre back, and you're like, what am I paying this much money for? And that's it. This is the uncertainty. And if we're all going to be wild carding fairly early, you're like, well, I can stay off, because we talked about it in the pre-season pod. Our fixtures are never good and they're never bad. There's never I have to jump on here.
You have this really strange run where if you put all your home games together, you'd think, oh, that's difficult, but they are all at home.
Yeah.
And if you put all the away fixtures together, you go a sea of greens, but they are all away.
Yeah, so you're never going, I have to get him by here or by there.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if he's a good asset now, he's still a good asset in game week 5 and game week 8, whenever you want a wild card. So revisit it then.
Yeah, my take was similar to yours in terms of there was also the reason I didn't go with Mendy is because I thought quite quickly I may want to get to Reece James, but I'd do it in other ways. I don't think I'd sacrifice one of the Liverpool fullbacks. Any thoughts for you, Ricky? I mean, he's got 7 points at the weekend at Everton and with a yellow card on board. Didn't stop him getting the 2 bonus.
What? So on Reece James?
Yeah.
Yeah. No thoughts at the moment. I do plan on wildcard. Well, I say early, probably later than most. I'm looking at something like 7 or 8. So I'm just going to sit and observe at this stage. But I want to see him playing at centre back is a real concern. So I'm going to sit this one out. In all honesty, the only one I'm really looking at or was looking at before was Mount, but after yesterday's game, he's fallen off my radar a little bit. Just sit and observe, I think, for the time being.
Where do you stand with Mount and Gary as an owner?
I want him to go back on the left if I see him playing on the right. Not so much this game, fine. The next game leads away. That's next, isn't it? Yeah. I want to see something that would be like enough to go, okay, now there's a problem then. If he's done 3 blanks and he's not even playing in the right position there, it's like, all right, there's loads of other 8 million assets that would clearly be better if that was the situation.
Yeah, I'd just be trying to put a neutral head on for a moment here. I'd just be a little bit conscious that Chelsea might do something at the weekend that isn't kind of to the template, and we maybe shouldn't judge that too much on what we see. I think you're right. Like, I think Reece James could specifically play right-sided centre back against us because of Son and that side, for example. Ricky, what Spurs boys you got?
Now I've got Perisic.
Because you sold Kane for Haaland, haven't you?
I
You
have
traitor.
sold Kane. Yeah, absolutely. Did have 3. Yeah, Kulusevski and Perisic.
So Kulusevski we covered. I take it he stays, or did you have him in there as a 1 week punt for you?
No,
or?
He stays, mate. He's that good, and at that
Okay.
money, he's that good. Yeah, he's going nowhere.
So tell everyone who's going to play wing back at the weekend. Save me having to tell everyone.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know. I think the only thing I can say with any degree of I wouldn't say certainty, but any degree of common sense thinking behind it is that Emerson will play on the right. Other than that, I do not know. Perisic is clearly a better player than Sessegnon, but it would be very harsh to take him out the side after the performance he put in. He was really good.
Does Conte care about things like that?
I don't think he necessarily does. He's not a sentimental type.
No, I don't think he is.
No, I think he will pick the best team to win the game. But Sessegnon did himself a lot of favours at the weekend with really strong performance. Should have been sent off possibly, but
I think I missed that. Was there a red card incident? I missed.
Oh yeah, he I can't remember. Was he wiped out? He missed the ball completely and stamped on someone's foot.
Who, Sessegnon?
Yeah.
Get me the clip. I've not seen that, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, mate. Yeah. I'll have a look for it.
I've not seen that. Definitely missed it in the ground at the time. I think Ricky's right in terms of Emerson will definitely play right wing back at the weekend. If you're sitting there with Doherty in your team, is it a definite go, Ricky? Do you think?
Yeah, probably.
And you've got Perisic, so what's the plan?
As we spoke about in the pod, I was actually bigging up Sessegnon, and I said if I would have him in the side if Perisic didn't start against Roma. Perisic did start, so I put him in. I was on your deadline stream. I heard you give out your team news, and I thought, no, I'm going to stick with Perisic. Should have gone Sessegnon, obviously. I still think he's going to start the majority of games, and his ceiling is so high. He is a special player, so I'm going to stick with him for the time being at least. I'll give it until my wild card or near my wild card, but I've got to give him 4, 5, 6 games.
That's what I was going to say. Is how long do you give it? Because you're right, and I genuinely, even though I became very confident that he wasn't going to start, still nearly thought of doing the same and sticking with him because I know I'm going to want him. I'm definitely going to want him.
Yeah.
But I don't think he starts against Chelsea. And then how long do you leave it? By which point he's maybe 5.3 by the time it's Wolves at home. And if he doesn't start that, where are you at? At some point you're going to have to cut it off, aren't you?
Yeah. If he's still not starting by Wolves, then I think you've probably got to cut loose. Then I think he will be. But yeah, after 6 games or so, you're going to know whether they're doing alternate games or whether Sessegnon's preferred. But yeah, if he hasn't started 3 games in a row, I'll cut him loose. I'll have to.
The problem you've got is as well, and it's changed a little bit because of the subs. But I think even if it was 3 subs, this would probably be the case with him. He's getting on the pitch.
Yeah,
it's not going to be a 0-pointer, is it?
No. I mean, that was actually quite. It was quite good to see. You know, Saturday we're 4-1 up, and then we bring on Ivan Perisic. I mean, it's not a bad position to be in, really, is it? But yeah, with 5 subs, and I've said this again, your bench is not really going to be needed as much as in previous years. So yeah, if Perisic, if you've got him, he's going to play, but he will most games come on for a point. He is going to come on and get the odd assist, get maybe even a goal, but it's generally you've got him for a point, and as good as he is, there's better players out there at 5.5 that are going to get you more than a point a game.
Gary, what Spurs you got?
Nobody anymore.
I take it this was Kane to Haaland as well, was it?
It was indeed, yeah.
So Ricky, what would you say to someone who's obviously let it go? He's now desperate to do it. -4?
-4? What, to get him in?
Yeah, get Haaland in for Kane.
Oh, sorry, I'm still talking about Perisic. I don't think it's worth a -4 at this. Well, I don't know. Looking at the fixtures, yeah, it probably is, in all honesty. I would be very worried not going into this weekend with Haaland based on what we've just seen.
Do you guys, just interested, do you guys currently intend to captain Haaland?
Yes.
In game week 2?
I certainly
Same for you, Gary?
80%. I mean, my original plan was De Bruyne. So I've got the 3 big Man City assets.
Not Salah. You haven't got Salah, or?
I don't have Salah. No. I didn't have the best start, to be honest.
There's a group for us, by the way.
Captain. Yeah, I know. It's called the Correspondents League, isn't it?
I was exactly the same. KDB, so it's an easy switch for me to change from KDB to Haaland. Yeah,
KDB's home record is, but it really does feel with Haaland. I think I've said already that I think if you're in that position, take the -4. Actually, just get it done. You might be captain Haaland in the next 4 weeks. It's conceivable. If he does really well against Bournemouth as well, you might just think, I'll go with him again at Newcastle. Then there's 2 more home games. So I think, yeah, get it done would be my opinion. How do you feel, Ricky, about Son to De Bruyne?
No, I don't see any reason to do that. Son is always going to pick up goals and assists.
Isn't Harry? Isn't this the point?
Harry is, but Harry plays in the same position as Erling Haaland, so that's a little bit different.
Okay, we got the Haaland message. Okay,
yeah. No, look, Son is obviously a very special player, and I think he'll outscore Harry anyway. I think at the end of the season he will have more points than Harry, not necessarily goals, but more points. So yeah, Son's a bit of a different case.
If you were wildcarding now, Gary, if you'd had enough with week 1 and you were wildcarding now, what Chelsea do you think go in?
I think that's part of the reason that I wouldn't want a wild card now, because I still think there's the uncertainty over who we buy. Like, this is the thing with Reece James. If we buy Fofana, James is an incredible asset. If we buy Denzel Dumfries,
but then Fofana's a 1.5 saving, isn't he? It's another way of looking at that.
Yeah, and he would be a fantastic asset at that price. So that's why it's probably too hypothetical in my mind, just because for what I think is going to happen over the next 3 weeks. That's why I wouldn't do it.
Ricky, if you were wildcarding, what Tottenham? Now with fresh eyes following the weekend.
Kulusevski. I may even go Dyer, just for that security of starts. I want.
We're not going to be like that, are we?
I want a defender, a Tottenham defender, because we are going to be strong defensively, and you know that Dyer is going to play, and he's obviously got the centre backs are playing so far up the pitch. All of them could have scored. So
I think I saw the stat was that of the outfield players, except for those who came on and had a couple of minutes at the end, everybody had a expected goal involvement except Bentancur.
Yeah.
So they all had involvements and went in and around it somewhere. So,
and it's not going to be like that every week. As you said at the start, Southampton have got some issues that they're going to have to deal with, but they were getting forward a lot. So I think you can maybe expect more returns than you would do normally from those back three. Okay.
Gary, can you tell us why you hate Tottenham, or is this a non-go comment? We said we wouldn't talk about it, but fuck it.
No, I don't know, but what doesn't help is I now live in Essex. I live in a full-on Tottenham area, so it's only made worse. I know that if we have a bad result, the only messages I'm going to get from other fans is going to be Tottenham fans.
That's because we're everywhere, mate.
You are in this town.
There you go. He's admitted it, Ricky. We've got him.
He's worried about.
Yeah, that's it. We know. Yeah, in Essex should be West Ham Manor. I thought they were massive. That shows what they know. Doesn't
They're
it?
the only other one. I've never liked them as much as I do now. They're the only other ones that hate you. But
no. There's a queue, mate. There's definitely a queue of people that hate us.
That's right. Even when I grew up, I got a lot of friends from school who are, so we're the same age, you and I, people on YouTube can see the difference.
They won't
between
believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Tottenham for 38 years versus supporting Chelsea for 38 years. That's what
So
it does.
true. So true.
But so there was a lot of rivalry then, because this is back when if you got into football the age that we got into football, like 6, 7 kind of thing. Spurs won the FA Cup, and so there was you had Gaza, Gary Lineker, everything like that. Even I liked them, and then there was just this sort of continuation. And I don't even know why, because it wasn't like you were winning stuff, but for some reason there was a lot of noise from Tottenham fans, and there always has been. And I've never quite understood why.
There you go, Ricky.
I don't even have any words. I don't know why Chelsea hates us. I've put it down to jealousy, if I'm being honest. That's the only thing I can think of.
Obviously, it's Thursday today. Isn't the latest All or Nothing out tonight, isn't it? I think possibly.
The money I could have saved by not having to go to like Munich and Baku and Moscow if I'd just supported a team like Tottenham. Yeah.
It just keeps
jealousy.
coming. Why do you do this to me, James? Why can't I have an easy one?
To be fair, he has got a little bit of a point.
He's got a massive point.
There's no way I would not have a wife or a child, mate. No way. No way.
I either wouldn't have a wife or a child or a house. I just live in a cardboard box because I couldn't afford anything else.
Well, Jamie Redknapp the other day, he forgot that Thiago Silva had won the Champions League. I wish my wife would forget that I went to Porto as quick as that.
That's fair. We finish above us, Gary.
Yeah.
Ricky, we finish above them.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Game on, lads. Gary, prediction for Sunday, please.
1-0 Chelsea.
Ricky?
2-2.
Do you mean that?
Yeah, I can't quite bring myself. I'm not predicting us to lose, and I can't quite bring myself to say we're going to go to Stamford Bridge and win, because it would be something out of the ordinary. So 2-2.
I wasn't asking you from the perspective of, do you think we'll get something? I was asking you if you were going on the side of caution.
I probably am, in all honesty, because I want to sit here and be Charlie Big Potatoes.
You're not normally. You're quite extreme as well, mate.
Yeah, no, I think we can go there and get a result. I do think we are that good now. And not to say that Chelsea aren't, but this is a different Tottenham side. And I will be a little bit big potatoes for the moment. Spurs fans, enjoy this season, because it may be the best season you've seen for a very, very long time, and the best one you're going to see for a long time after. I think we're in for a special ride this season. And I'm not talking about winning stuff, but we know
we won the Watertoll Cup. We're done. We don't bother about anything else, mate.
But just from the football we're going to see and the excitement we're going to have, this is going to be a special season.
I hope Nico doesn't clip that. Because you definitely set yourself up there.
Yeah, I have.
All I would say about Sunday is there's a couple of points. One we haven't mentioned is it is going to be unbelievably hot. We are expecting at kickoff it to be in excess of 30 degrees. I think that plays into Chelsea's hands a little. They will have more on the ball. So I think that's going to make it an even slightly more difficult game than it obviously would be anyway. But yeah, I do have a fancy that we'll get something. Actually, it's a confidence, and it's also a little bit. Sometimes, Gary, we play you, and there's genuine, real fear, like, we could get absolutely destroyed here. I don't feel that way. Obviously, you can beat us, and I think you'd rightly be favourites for the game. But the fear element, I don't know why it's not quite there at the moment. And this would be the most confident I'd go into a Chelsea away game for a very, very long time. That said, that confidence is literally normally we're getting battered today. So I'm well above that level where I think we can get something. I think for us to get something, we'd have to score first. I think if Chelsea score first, I think Chelsea will win. I think we would have to score first, Ricky, to get something out of the game. That said, it could obviously well be 0-0. I'm going to go for 1-1, actually.
I'd have thought if you offered Conte a draw now, he would absolutely take it.
Yeah, agreed. And I also think I don't think from your side it wouldn't be a disaster either. No. All I mean by that is it's really early in the season. You don't want to lose.
No, exactly.
And you obviously don't want to lose that fixture at any time anyway. But just early on, it's a tough game. It's the first meeting between big six teams, if you will, in the season. It could well be that quite often the two teams do settle for a draw. That might that happens. There's definitely a leveling of the quality between the two teams. Brilliant, guys. Really, really appreciate that. Gary, where can everyone follow you on the Bird app?
At Phantom Mantle, still on the march to 1K. I'm at 700 and something.
Good man. Go and give this Chelsea boy a follow, everyone. And Ricky, where can everyone follow you, mate?
Ricky Saunders 77.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, guys. I'll be streaming on YouTube tomorrow, 3 p.m. UK time. Hopefully, I'll have all the team news ahead of game week 2 at that time. Next week's Clash of the Correspondents is the Oil Derby between Newcastle and Manchester City with FPL Bibs and a newly married FPL Pringle. Congratulations, Johnny. Speak next week, my friend. Just leaves me to say thanks again to Gary and to Ricky. Good luck for the weekend to both of you, gentlemen. Cue music, please, man. Shark.
Come on, Tottenham.